So a lot of changes going on in the insurance world and condominiums and sinkholes. A lot of information coming right up. Hello, everybody. My name is Barry Horvath, and this is Moving Forward TV with your local market update.
And I am DeLynn Gaston. Thank you so much for joining us. On today's show, we are very excited. We have a Zoom-in guest.
Yes, I love Zoom-in guests.
And I love this guest.
Do you?
I do. I do.
I didn't know you guys were like that.
One of the funniest people I know.
Yeah, so this is going to be the Moving Forward TV Comedy Hour coming up, which we will complete in 26 more minutes. So, no, it should be fun, though, because there's a lot of things going on in the industry right now that affect the buying and selling of real estate. And one of the biggest factors, and we always tell people, you need different partners when you're house shopping.
That's right.
You need to have your mortgage lender.
Right. We know two
Yes,
good ones.
You need your title company. You need your real estate professional. And the one that often gets forgotten is your insurance partner. And if you don't have a great insurance agent,
Look at that beautiful face.
if you don't have a great insurance agent helping you walk through the difficult process sometimes of buying a home, it can add another layer of challenge because there are certain things that pop up. And I have to tell you, one of the biggest delays we have right now seems to be on insurances. So if you don't want to break a contract date, you need to go talk to your insurance early and get that policy bound, especially, we have storm season and everything coming up right now here in Florida. It's a great time, but some of the challenges in condos and sinkholes. And we have Carolyn Hersh with Hersh Insurance going to join us today. She's zoomed in with us. We're so excited she's joining us, and she is an expert on all these areas. So Carolyn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. I'm glad to be here this morning.
Yeah, thanks for getting up and getting dressed and everything during this COVID time, Rumor has it that you don't have to get dressed when you work from home a lot now, so.
Not a lot, but it's nice every once in a while to lady up a little bit.
So how is that working out with your clients? Are they able to come into the agencies during COVID?
So we are working a short, we have an A team and a B team, so half of us work from home 1 week and the other half is there. We are asking that our clients call in before they come, and we're trying to see one client at a time so we don't have 4 or 5 policyholders in there. And of course, we're having them all wear masks. But a lot of this we can do through DocuSign and electronic signatures and so forth. So we're fine. We're staying healthy and making good decisions.
It's kind of changed the world, hasn't it? The way we do business today. I know we see less people in our office than we ever have, and we too are in that electronic thing. But there are some people that
finally, thank God, the mortgage world has come
a
little more electronic.
Yeah, but we do have some customers that really want that face-to-face. They want to bring documents to us. They want us to copy them for them, but we're okay with that as long as we're, all practicing safely right now during this COVID time. So,
and we feel the same way because we want to differentiate ourselves from a 1-800 number. Having a local agent that you can, we always say know, like, and trust, just like you guys. You want to be able to know your clients and make sure that they know you as well. We are not a 1-800 number by any means. So the agency experience is really important to my clients.
Yeah.
Well, right now, with the prices of housing soaring, as you know, people are looking for different options to have affordable housing. And right now the condo market seems to be on fire because condos can offer people that easy living where they don't have to mow the lawn, they don't have to paint, they don't have to worry about the roof, they don't have to deal with the landscaping, and the price points are lower. So a lot of people are okay with paying that HOA fee to say, I'm done, I'm coming home, and all I got to do is paint my walls and vacuum my carpets and clean up after the dog. That seems to be the trend. So what's going on with condos, though, as far as the insurance side? Because we're getting more and more people looking for financing on condos today because of their price points.
And even that's just speaking of that, the condo insurance is incredibly affordable. That just continues to be part of cost saving when you're downsizing from the big house and so forth. Condo insurance, if I can kind of just take over a little bit from here, condo insurance, people say, oh, I'm paying my X number of dollars a month to have everything taken care of. Well, the part of your HOA fee is going to cover your brick walls, your roof and everything, but what is not covered is the built-ins on the inside, and certainly your contents, you guys, the owners would be taking care of as well. And what I mean by the building items on the inside is condo unit owners coverage. First of all, let me tell you, it's extremely affordable. Generally, a policy is between $400 and $600 for an entire year of coverage, where with a masonry home, you could see a premium between $1,200 and $4,000 or something like that. But what a condo unit policy does cover is things that, as a buyer of that condo, if you wanted to go in and modify, say, change your kitchen out, change your flooring out, anything that you could go in as a unit owner and change without having to go to the condo association for permission, that's what you're covering under a condo unit owner policy. So for instance, if there was, let's just say, a fire claim, the master association policy is going to rebuild you a empty structure. You are going to get drywall walls and you're going to get concrete floors. What you're insuring for is your floor coverings, your baseboards, your paint on the walls, your door frames, your doors, again, your fixtures within your bathrooms. If you had a tub, they're not going to rebuild you a tub or a shower. They're just going to give you a bathroom with some plumbing that's going to have nothing attached to it. So if you wanted to go in as a condo unit owner and pull your kitchen out and make it a dance floor, you could do that without permission. So that's the things that you are insuring on the inside. It's what we call building items or dwelling coverage. And, depending on where you're living and the cost per square foot, you might only need $25,000 to $40,000 to rebuild the inside of a unit. Of course, it could be upgraded and you could have crown molding and granite countertops. And of course, we would talk to each individual policyholder about what their needs are for that. And then additionally, of course, you would be insuring your contents. We like to explain your contents coverage. If you took the roof off your condo, turned it upside down and shook it out, everything that hit the ground would be considered contents. So your wall-to-wall flooring is not considered personal property or contents, but your refrigerator, your pots and pans, your 32 pairs of black shoes, your furniture, all of that is considered contents.
32 pairs? Isn't that a little low, DeLynn?
That's low.
I'm just checking.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah. So those are the main coverages on your condo policy. But really, having a conversation with your agent, trying to figure out what it would cost to make you whole again in a condo is really important, because we don't know whether that condo's been upgraded or if it's still at builder's grade or if it's brand new construction, what the interior cost is going to be. So we probably will talk to our policyholders probably at 10 solid minutes, just going through room by room, really trying to figure out the quality of construction and making sure we get the cost per square foot correct on those condos.
Wow.
Okay.
So is there a special rider for shoes available, like an umbrella policy? What do they call that?
Yes.
So actually, that's very interesting, and I don't know that a lot of people understand that. They say, well, I have insurance through the HOA, but I didn't even realize it until you just said it right now, that things like your door frames, the woodwork or the molding around the floors and stuff. I understand the carpet, I understand the tile and everything, but I didn't even think about the door frames and such. You'd think that's just building stuff, and that absolutely would come standard.
Yeah.
So
And even that carpentry, because we don't, to be completely honest with you, you could have upgraded your doors. You could have gotten 8 or 10 inch baseboards. You could have done a lot of upgrades, and simply the condo association does not owe you that. They don't know what you had. Their association will give you that, like I said, up until drywall walls and concrete floors, and you take it from there.
And what's important for our viewers to know, our buyers that are getting financing, is that this coverage is going to be required. and it is going to factor into your debt ratio when you're qualifying for a loan. So it's important to know, while the condo fees may be $300 or $400 a month, the insurance costs, from what Carolyn is saying, could be as low as $40 or $60 per month.
Sure.
So
Now, and Carolyn, that is different. If you can, and I think this is probably similar, but maybe the difference between condos and townhomes or villas.
So a condo is filed with a particular set of Florida statutes where they are going to have the exterior insured. Villas and townhomes oftentimes have the exterior maintenance taken care of, where they're going to put a new roof on the townhome every X number of years, paint it every X number of years. When talking about real estate, when a listing agent is talking to a seller, it's very important that it's differentiated, that the exterior walls are going to be for the buyer to insure, or if there's a master association. I live in a townhome community. I pay a pretty good amount to live in the townhome community, but I know that only my exterior maintenance is covered. I know that if a tree comes through my roof, that's my responsibility. But in 18 years, when my roof needs to get replaced, just for maintenance, my HOA will pay for it.
So the insurance policy is different because the coverages are different. So on it, let's just take a townhome, for example, like the one you live in. God forbid something happens and it catches on fire or whatever.
There you go, DeLynn.
Under
Way to bring
a
that
condo,
up.
under a condo.
Don't use hers. Use someone else's.
Someone else's down the way.
Right.
So the association would be covering the exterior, the roof part of it, or is that your responsibility in a townhome?
My responsibility.
But in a condo, it's
in a condo, it's a wholly the HOA's responsibility to rebuild it.
Okay.
In a villa or a townhome community, it is the unit owner's responsibility to insure the structure. And it's a very simple question. We all have property managers. That's just part of being in these associations. It's a very simple process to call your property manager and you ask them, am I a condo or am I a home? And specifically from an insurance lingo, an HO3 is what a house policy or a townhome policy or a villa policy is. And the word HO6 is a unit owner policy. And if you call your property manager, you just say, am I an HO6 or am I an HO3? You call your agent and they will write the correct policy for you.
And even though it is attached housing, a villa or a townhome cannot get a condo policy, correct?
As long as the bylaws are written, it depends on how the bylaws are written. But 99.999% of the time, a townhome is going to be an HO3 policy.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So one more question about townhomes, because I know we want to cover sinkholes as well. That's a hot topic, but a lot of investors buying up condos and renting them out. Does that insurance cover the owner for any form of liability if something were to happen to their tenant while they're in there?
So in a situation like that, we would probably want there to be two insurance policies. There's going to be a landlord condo policy that's going to have the provision of liability on it. And then we would probably, if the landlord is business savvy, is he would require his tenants as well to have a renter's policy for an additional layer of liability. For a quick example, let's just use a football party. They're watching the Buccaneers on a Sunday afternoon, and somebody comes in and they trip over the carpet. Maybe there's a loose piece of carpeting. We are going to cover, if you have a landlord policy, the unit owner should have known that there was a little slip in the carpet. So if there's litigation, we're going to have the landlord policy would cover that for litigation. But if there's something that the tenant could have prevented, maybe the tenant had a sharp object, maybe his coffee table had a square edge, and somebody that was at the party walked around and they cut themselves on the coffee table, then that liability would go on the tenant. So it would behoove investors to, as part of their rental agreement, their lease contract, to require their tenants to have liability as well. That way everybody's covered.
So what about people are doing the short-term rentals with Airbnb and HomeAway, VRBO? How does that fit in? And
those are difficult policies to write. And I will tell you, Barry, those are a little bit more expensive because there is much more of a liability risk. People are on vacation when they're doing Airbnbs and they're more likely to make bad decisions. So the short-term rentals are probably about 25% more expensive overall to insure, just because the liability portion of that policy is going to be significantly more expensive. So that's a good question to ask.
Wow. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. All right. So let's move on. Let's talk about the dreaded sinkholes. There's so much talk about it. I know that world has changed so much. We used to have people that were afraid, I'm not buying that house. It's a sinkhole. It's a nightmare.
Right.
Things have changed. Things have changed to the positive in the last few years. Buyers were having a really hard time trying to find an insurance policy that would insure a prior sinkhole home. I'm going to speak specifically to repaired sinkhole homes. I don't want anything right now to, I don't want to interchange any part of this to an unrepaired sinkhole. These are going to be repaired sinkhole homes only. It used to be a buyer and an agent would steer clear of showing those because they were an absolute train wreck to get insurance on. Thankfully, now the underwriters have really loosened up the underwriting guidelines. And as long as there's evidence and proof that there have been repairs done based on the scope of the engineering report, you can get insurance on that with relative ease. They're still not going to get a private market insurance. You're not going to get the premier insurance companies that are going to want to write a prior sinkhole home, but certainly there's 3 or 4 decent markets that will be there, financially solvent, and will be there to pay your claim, if something happens. So if you're looking at real estate anymore, I don't have any problems insuring a prior sinkhole home. 4 or 5 years ago, they would take days and days and days to underwrite, even if the clients could get the documentation. Now, with a prior sinkhole home, with permitting and public records, there's a lot that we can find out. And I'm going to speak right now specifically to Pasco public records because I know those like the back of my hands. But if I can go on their permitting website and I can find an investigative report, and a year or 2 later, I can find a remediation permit that was pulled, and then I can get some photos, I can probably get that through underwriting without any pushback. The more documentation a listing agent or a buyer's agent or a buyer can give me, the easier it is. But it's not at all difficult anymore to get those insured.
So if I can ask a question here, I know that some of the things that ends up happening is the house maybe was foreclosed. It was a sinkhole. The people basically took the money and ran, got paid out a claim, didn't fix anything, and it's a foreclosed property or whatever. And getting either past reports, engineering reports, is near impossible. Photographs, the house, has been vacant for a while, so it looks kind of trashy inside. What do we do about that?
So we can, again, if you're working with an agent who knows the Pasco or whatever county's the permitting system, we can dig, and we will do that for you. We can dig for permits. What we'll never, any of us as a third party, what we'll never be able to do is have an engineer release a report to us as a third party. So if we go online to the permitting and we can see that ABC Restoration Company did the repairs, I cannot call ABC Restoration and ask for the engineering report. I don't have any rights to it. I didn't pay for it. I wasn't a client at the time. So those are difficult, especially right now, because a lot of these have gone into estates. They have been flipped. They have, like you said, foreclosures and things like that. I just need some sort of evidence that there have been some kind of underpinning or concrete and things like that. There are ways outside of permitting that you can order an engineer to come in and look to make sure it's been underpinned and grouted. But I'm really being successful with just the permits of what they call a 4-point inspection, which is a chat for another day. But there are inspectors that can come out. And again, I can work with most prior.
All right. So, wow, a lot of information out there.
Carolyn.
A lot of information on these sinkholes and condos and the whole insurance world is changed. I think what the people and our buyers need to understand is even though
Sorry, I don't know where I got lost.
So even though, it's just like insurance is required on every home you purchase with financing, and you should have it even if you don't need it.
Right.
But I think what people need to understand is, while your insurance agent doesn't ask you for all the documentation necessarily like we do as a lender, because we're getting tax returns, we're getting pay stubs, we're like looking really hard at people. The insurance portion has to be underwritten as well.
They're looking hard at the property.
Yeah. So while you're not looking at the buyer, although I'm sure you do, because people's rates can be based on their credit. I'm sure you do run a soft credit pull on people. Is that true?
We do with some insurance companies, we do run the soft credit, but Citizens Property Insurance, which is one that we write probably 85% of our prior single homes with, they do not run any credit whatsoever. They do run a prior loss runs to make sure that the buyer doesn't have chronic water claims or theft claims wherever they've lived, but we do not run credit for that particular insurance company. But then, within Allstate and a lot of the other companies, Florida Peninsula, they do run the soft.
And Carolyn, with a prior sinkhole property, is the premium more? Are they paying more than a home that didn't have a prior sinkhole?
The home is either insurable or it's not insurable, whether it's had a sinkhole or not. We run it through there, and it's one premium. There is no surcharge. There's no anything tacked onto it. It would be the same as the house next door that had not ever had a sinkhole.
See, and I've always kind of thought, that if it has and it's been done properly with the underpinning and concrete that they pour in and things like that, that is one solid house. I would think that if anything, give a discount. No, that doesn't happen either, huh?
No, either way, it's just a flat rate, whether it's had the sinkhole or not. We just call it insurable or it's not insurable.
That's good to know. The thing is because those houses really aren't going anywhere, and I tell people I don't know why they're so afraid of them. Right? I really don't. It's been fixed. It's strong.
So what I'm hearing here is, if you're looking to buy a property and it is a sinkhole, don't be afraid of it just because it had a prior sinkhole. Don't be scared.
Don't be afraid of it. But from my standpoint, get me the information as soon as you can, because it does take a lot longer to get a prior sinkhole policy insured. We don't have binding authority in the field to do those. I can bind, a house without it going to a second layer of eyes if it hasn't had a sinkhole, but a prior sinkhole home has to go up to the underwriting department for a second set of eyes. So I usually say, come to me within about 14 days so that I have plenty of time to get that underwritten so that it does not delay closing.
Do you hear that, buyers, realtors? 14 days. So it's important, and we preach this all the time to our buyers, to get insurance in place as soon as possible, because you do not want to delay your closing. If you delay your closing, there could be a backup contract on the house you're looking at, and you could actually lose the deal because somebody bid a little higher price, even though you're under a contract. If you miss that closing date, there is risk that you could lose a house. You don't want to lose a house over not shopping for your insurance early.
And same thing, Barry, right now during hurricane season. If a tropical storm watch or warning is anywhere in the state of Florida, from the Keys to the Panhandle, and we go under binding restrictions today, and you were supposed to close on Friday, forget about it. You're not going to be able to do that. So during hurricane season, the minute I have an expected close date, I am going to put a binder on that. Even if you're closing, what's today? Even if you're closing August 13th, I'm going to bind it today. If closing gets changed, I can change the date. But if we're under tropical storm watch and warning and a binder has not been pulled, we are not going to closing.
So there's no reason to delay. You can get that policy bound. You can change a closing date. The buyers aren't even necessarily paying their premium up front to you. They pay it at closing.
Correct. Yeah,
So
we don't need I can get paid 4 to 5 days after closing, and that's fine. I would not ask for payment up front on that.
And I think that that's just good, whether it's a prior sinkhole or not, just period. Anyhow, you probably should do it earlier, because what is it, even if, like you said, let's say it's, closing on the 13th and then it doesn't end up closing until the 15th or whatever. What did that extra 2 days cost you? Pennies, right?
Yeah, I know, exactly. And I can push it back. If they want to save a couple pennies, I can change the closing date. Move it forward, and that's fine to do too. But again, I've got some people that are closing in 30 days, and I pulled their binders yesterday because we're getting ready to get into the hot part of hurricane season, middle of August to middle of September. So, and to be honest with you, I can bind it, and if somebody wants to go somewhere different and gets a better deal, I'll pull the binder. I just don't ever want it to be the insurance that keeps a policy from going into closing ever. That's my goal in life.
And that can't happen because there's a lot more things that you have to do on your end as well these days. I remember it used to be we used to wait until a file was clear to close and then say, okay, go get your insurance, like
Right.
2 days or 3 days before closing. That's not the case anymore.
No.
Those
Yeah.
days are gone.
Gone. Those days are
We've been
gone.
around a long time, the three of us, and I do remember all of those days. So,
Yeah.
I know.
Yes. Well,
I got to say, though, and I'm sure you feel this way too, I know that things are harder for us right now. There's a lot more questions. There's a lot more, we have to be computer geniuses as well as good at our jobs. So there's a lot going on, but I like it better. I think the whole industry is a lot more stable now. And
it's not what you said last night when you quit.
I quit daily.
Yeah, we both quit. I quit.
I'm having fun. I love my job. I always tell people that I've only done insurance for 31 years. I've owned my own insurance agency over 17. It's the only job I've had since the day I graduated from college. I know it like the back of my hand. It's not sexy, but I love my job and things are great. Insurance has gotten easier, like you said, even though you've got a lot more paperwork. The fact that we have competition now and it's not just Citizens Property Insurance anymore, I'll take that all day long to be able to win business.
You know what?
Me too.
I remember they used to say, because, when I went and got my insurance license, not property and casualty, of course, they say the best way to get people to avoid you is to walk into a party and say, hey, guess what? I just got my insurance license today. And you'll watch people scatter like water bugs,
Yep.
So, yeah, you're like, ooh. So, hey, get a bad rap there, but that's okay. It's a necessary evil. And if you love what you do, and we do, DeLynn and I joke about it, we love helping people with their financial dreams and home ownership.
Pretty much all I've ever done either is mortgages.
And it's pretty amazing. So Carolyn, thanks for sharing all this wisdom. And we have your information up here so they can contact you. We have your phone number up here. And she's with the Hersh. It's an Hersh Insurance. And she's up here in Hudson. She's local right here on US 19 if you want to get with her. She's a great person to work with and a great person here in the community. So, So, DeLynn, let's talk about our upcoming Lunch and Learn. Our next one is, and Carolyn was our guest on our last one, and she did a great job, but we have one coming up August 11th. Tune in, find the link on Facebook, find it in our email. It's all over. Get it.
And Carolyn is almost always on that as well with us.
Yep, she is a sponsor of that. Nikki Alvarez Sauls, our new clerk of the court, will be our speaker this month, so we're looking forward to that. So, hey, make sure you share our show, like it, tell your friends about us.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We are today and every day.
Moving forward, have a great week, everybody.
See you next
Thanks,
week.
DeLynn. Thanks,
Thank
Barry.
you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.